Hi guys. I'm going to try to pull this up on my phone real quick so I can read your comments. And turn down the volume. I'm just sharing this really quick. All right. So I'm going to give people a couple minutes to jump on before I start. I just wanted to get everything set up. I'm sorry you have to stare at my phone, but I wanted to be in a space where there wasn't too much junk behind me, so I'm working with my table on the short side. So I have my phone though, just so I can see your comments. My iPad's a little far away, so I can't really read the comments from where I'm at, but at least I will be able to read them from here. So if that annoys you, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm going to give people a couple minutes to jump on. And while I'm waiting, I do want to tell you, right now, you can't really see my table very well. So once a couple people jump on and I get started, I'm actually going to pan my iPad down just so that you can see more of what I'm doing and less of my face. You really don't need to see my face in order to see me do a wreath. So I am going to pan down so you can see better. So it looks like a couple people are jumping on. It's way easier for me to see over here. Hi guys. So I'll start to tell you what I'm using just very quickly. I have my mesh here. This is like a mix of, it's like a poly jute mix. It's one of my favorite natural meshes to use. So that's just going to be my base. And then I have my, my 10-inch mesh. I have cream, purple, well, lavender, and this green and natural mix. And I'm going to do some curls with that. So, get those out of my way. And then I have my ribbons. Sorry guys, everything's in front of me, so I have to reach. I have this cream and this like moss and cream. And then I have this lavender and then this like natural. And then the last two, if I can get them, it's just this plain moss and this plain lavender. All right, good. We got a couple people watching now, so I'm going to, oh, actually, let me show you my florals first, because I did not show those in my, the little photo that I showed, the little teaser photo. So I'm going to show you, I did pick them out. So because I'm using like the lavender and the green, I wanted to do kind of a lavender theme. So I have some of these like lavender bushes, and then I have this like cream. I wanted baby's breath, but then I saw this and I really liked it. So, and it's cream instead of white, so I went with that instead. So I am actually going to jump over there. I'm going to pan down so you guys can see this better. So it might cut off my head, I'm sorry, but I feel like you'll see the wreath better if I pan down. Sorry if it's a little wobbly while I do this, but there we go. guys will be able to see a little bit better that way. Okay, I'm also going to get my hair out of my face, because if you know me, you know I hate hair in my face when I'm trying to work. All right, so I have my wreath form. This form is the form that I use for almost every wreath I make, and I do them myself just with pipe cleaners. It cuts down on costs for me and for the customer, so for me that's a win-win. And I'm going to start on my base, and if you guys have any questions, comments, anything, feel free to ask me. I'm going to get my mesh set up here, and I'm going to get started. So like I said, this natural mesh is just my base. I wanted kind of that natural look. I think, especially with the sign I'm using, which if you saw, sorry guys, gotta get my handy dandy tool. If you saw my teaser photo, you saw my sign, which I will actually show it to you really quickly. Hopefully I don't knock everything off my table. So this is a sign I'm using. It says "He is risen," and it has these little purple flowers on it and a little bit of greenery. So, and it is like, it looks like wood. These pieces look like wood. So I figured like the natural, incorporating some of that natural would be nice. So, all right. So I've got my mesh. I'm just going to attach this to my frame. I have my zip tie. And I used to use these really small zip ties. They were like the 4-inch zip ties. They used to drive me insane. But I bought them because I thought, well, I don't need a ton of length. I'm only zip tying this little bit. No, they were terrible to work with. So I now work with these like 8-inch ones, and I just cut off, I don't know, 80% of the zip tie, but way easier to use. All right, so now that's secured, and I'm just going to tie this in for now, and we'll come back to that. So I always measure my poofs. This is going to be a poof wreath, and I'm going to add my curls, but I always measure my poofs, and I fix them. Sometimes I fix them before I actually put them in, because it just makes it easier once you go to fluff it. It's definitely easier if it's already mostly done, but I get through this process pretty quickly, as you'll see. I've been doing wreaths for a year now. Kind of accelerated in the winter months, in the fall and the winter. I was extremely busy, and that is actually why I did not do another live. I was just way too busy to take the time to actually do it. I had so many orders, plus I had to keep up with craft shows I was doing. You know, I had to have stock for those shows, and just stock in general, you know, for people visiting my page and seeing what I have. So it was a very crazy couple of months, and there was just no way. There was no way that I could fit in a Facebook Live in all of that. So I'm glad that I'm able to do one for you guys today. I know that some people did enjoy it the last time I did it, so I figured I was a little less busy, so I figured I could probably squeeze it in. So if you guys are just jumping on, say hey. Let me know you're here. I can see, it does come up and I can see some of you that are watching, but I don't know that it shows me everyone. Yeah, I don't think it's showing me everyone, but. So the inspiration for this wreath, I actually saw this wreath on Pinterest, and mine will be similar to the one on Pinterest. Not exact, obviously. You know, I wouldn't want somebody to copy me exactly, so I wouldn't want to copy somebody else exactly, but I loved the color combination. I actually loved that they added in like the deeper moss green with the lavender and the cream. You know, the lavender and the cream are so light, and then you just get that pop from the moss green, which I absolutely love. So I decided that I wanted to make it, and then when I decided to do a live, I thought, oh, that would be really pretty. And for anyone wondering, yes, this wreath will be for sale after it is completed. It is not an order. It's not for anyone in particular. I'm not sure of the price yet. I probably will have to wait until after this is over to try to figure out the price, just because I have to see how much I paid for certain things and, you know, figure that all out before I can actually give you a definitive price. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be around $60, just because I'm adding in a few layers. Hi guys. Raquel, that's okay. I just got started. I'm only doing my base, so you're good. But yeah, it's probably going to be around 60. I'm adding in, like I said, a few different elements. You know, I'm adding in the curls. I'm adding in the florals, which unfortunately are not cheap. I really wish that fake flowers were less expensive, but they really just are crazy. I always try to get them on sale just because, again, you know, similar to the wreath form and me, you know, doing my own work form with the pipe cleaners, it cuts down on cost for me, which means it cuts down on cost for the customer. So that is always a plus to me, because I don't like having to charge someone a crazy price just because I wasn't able to get something on sale or whatever. So but even on sale, I mean, they're just so expensive. So, you know, you have to charge for what you use. You know, you can't lose money. So unfortunately, this will probably be one of my more expensive wreaths, but I think it's going to be really nice. I actually am going to add the ribbon, my ribbon tails, but I'm also going to add a bow. So one of my ties will not have any ribbon tails in it, I should say. It will actually have a bow, which I've seen a lot of people do. I've wanted to try it. Obviously, you know, I've put bows on other wreaths. When I do my bubble wreaths, I always put a bow because they're kind of very simplistic. So you need something, you know, you need that ribbon in there somewhere. And you can't add ribbon between the bubbles. So I always add a bow to my bubble wreaths. But I've actually never added a bow to a poof wreath. So today I will be doing that for the first time. But I'm going to use the same ribbons that I'm using for my tails. Those same ribbons are going to go into my bow. And I prepped everything except my bow. I did not make my bow yet, so you'll get to see me make my bow. But I did, you know, everything I cut, because if I would do all of that on camera, you guys would be here until like midnight. I mean, it's so funny because people will ask me whenever I do like craft shows, people will say, oh, how long did it take you to make this wreath? And I'm like, well, I mean, if you include like all my prep work and, you know, cutting this, cutting that, and not only the cutting, you know, you think about the cutting and you think about, okay, that takes time. and setting everything up to cut things. But not only that, the designing takes time. You know, I usually start with a sign. You know, it's usually my sign that goes in the middle that is my inspiration. And then I have to find some mesh to go with it. And then once I find mesh, I have to find ribbon. And it's not just one ribbon. It's, you know, sometimes it's either 6 ribbons or 9 ribbons, you know, 9 different kinds. So, you know, it's a lot. And then it's like, okay, do I want to add embellishments? You know, I have to worry about that. So it's a process. Just to design one in itself is a process. And then sometimes, you know, you have this idea and you're like, okay, you know, I'm going to put, I don't know, I'm going to put this embellishment on it. And then you sort of get the whole thing done. You put the embellishment on, and you're like, okay, I hate this. And that happens, you know, a lot of times that happens. And I have a ton of embellishments, so many, you would not believe. Just from Christmas and fall alone, the amount of stuff that I have is crazy. But, you know, a lot of times I don't even use them because I put them on and I'm just like, I don't really like that. So then I take it off and then it goes back in the box. So, but I am a sucker for that stuff. Embellishments and ribbon. I cannot pass up the ribbon, especially. I actually, you can't really see it, but over here is my ribbon rack. I actually just upgraded it from, I was using just a rack on the back of my door, and now I use an actual shoe rack, which is what a lot of wreath makers do. And this shoe rack is 10 tiers. 10 tiers. And I have 7 tiers covered in ribbon. 7 of those tiers. And then I have a whole tier of just tulips alone, because those tulip wreaths that I have done, they became very popular, and I wanted to have all kinds of colors. So I bought all the colors that they sell, well, just about all of them. So I have all of those on one rack, and then the other 2 are just bare, but don't worry, eventually they'll be full. Because I just can't pass up ribbon. I don't know what it is, but that is, I would say that is my addiction. I just saw, oh, Carol, I actually learned, so I started following someone who did wreaths. She didn't do any videos or anything. She just does wreaths, posts them for sale, and that's it. But I started seeing her stuff, and I really loved them, and I thought, man, I could maybe do that. You know, I might enjoy that. So I bought a few things, and I started watching YouTube videos. YouTube is where it's at if you want to learn anything, seriously. So I started watching YouTube videos, and then I came across a few people who do lives, Facebook lives, or YouTube lives, and I just sort of fell in love with it. I started to buy more and more things. I started to realize that it was a very expensive hobby, so I needed to sell things in order to make some of that expense back. So that is kind of where I went with that. But I have had so much fun doing it. Like I said, I've been doing it for a year now. And it's just, it's super fun for me. You know, it's always hard, like, you know, to find that one thing that you just love doing. I've tried so many crafty things. I tried making hair bows. Yeah, I mean, I made them. They looked fine, but the amount of times I pricked myself with a needle, yeah, I was over it. I was just totally over it. I had no desire to do it. Anything that has to do with sewing or a needle, yeah, I'm not with it. So I tried that. I did scrapbooking for a long time, and I actually used to watch a girl who made pages, like scrapbook pages, and they were amazing. she made YouTube videos of her making these scrapbook pages, and I actually bought a lot of the tools that she used, and I made some scrapbooks, and I had a lot of fun with it. At one point I had a Cricut and a silhouette. Now I just have the Cricut. But eventually that just wasn't something that I was into either. And then I had, hold on one second. Sometimes these zip ties are just no good. But then, I ended up getting rid of my silhouette. I kept my Cricut just, for myself because I like the Cricut a lot better. But these zip ties, they're on my nerves. Nope. Okay. But yeah, so I still have my Cricut, but I really don't do any scrapbooking. It just isn't something that I'm really interested in anymore. So, I have all this paper and I have all these machines, and then I just don't want to do it anymore. This is something that I have just never wavered on. I have loved doing it from the second I started, and I have just kept doing it. Really quick, I have to just go over and get a new zip tie because these ones are being a pain today. So I shall return. Okay, I'm back with better zip ties. I got these like smaller ones, not shorter, but skinnier ones. And sometimes, I don't know, sometimes they just don't work. I don't really like them. And the fact that I just had two that didn't work makes me want to throw them all out. Because I definitely don't want people's wreaths coming apart. That would be terrible. This other one seems to be okay, so we're going to leave that one go. But, alright, so I just secured the end to my frame. I got all the way around, and you can see all my poofs. So the base is done, and I'm actually going to move my mesh holder because that thing is so enormous and in my way. The only downside to working with this natural mesh, mesh that has natural fibers, is they seriously get everywhere. It is really annoying, and I'm super finicky about a clean workspace. So I am a big fan of glitter, but when I work with glitter, oh my goodness, it just gets everywhere, and I'm constantly brushing off my workspace. All right. So anyways, like I said, the base is done. Oh yeah, Raquel, seriously, I might let you know about that because I have so much paper, just tools in general. I don't know about the Cricut. I don't know if I can part with it. I love it, but I don't use it. I feel bad that it just sits and just collects dust. So we'll have to see on that one. So now that my base is done, I'm actually going to put my curls on. So I'm going to get my mesh here. And I like to do one color at a time. That's just me. Let's see, did you do 2 rows? Oh, Cheryl, I did 2 rows. So my inner row is 6. My outer row is 12. So if you buy work forms from a supplier or even from a store, well, at least the supplier that I buy from, the work forms that they sell, the inner ring has 8, the outer ring has 10. So there's always 18, at least on the ones that I use, because this is a 14-inch frame. the work forms that I used to buy, they are 15 inches. So they're about the same in size. I actually prefer these ones, these 14 inch, the ones that I make myself, because I like having a more flat wreath. You know, I live in an area where a lot of people have screen doors, storm doors, whatever you want to call them. So then you have your door and the screen door. So there's not a lot of space in between. So I can't really make a lot of poofy wreaths, super poofy ones, because people just don't want to buy them. You know, I go to local craft shows and people are like, oh my God, I love this wreath, but I can't take it home because it will never fit. You know, and that makes me sad. So I actually stopped using those work forms because they have a little more projection. So I stopped using them, started using these 14 inch and making them myself. And I love them a lot better. And I actually do like that there's 6 in the middle instead of 8. It works out with my ribbon a little better. Let's see. Oh, yes, absolutely, Carol. Yes. I actually had a woman who visited from Virginia, and she actually did take home, I think, 2 wreaths. One was for her, and I think one was like for her daughter. But yes, she actually was here, and she took home 2 of my wreaths before she went home to Virginia. So absolutely. And I ship too. I ship anywhere. Oh, thank you. Yes, Raquel, I probably could make signs. I know I have actually thought of that, but I don't know. I just feel like it would take me so much time. The amount of time that I already spend is like insane. And I feel like making my own signs would just be even crazier. So I haven't done it yet. I probably should, but I just end up buying them because I'm like, oh God, I think that would take me forever. So I'm going to start putting my curls in. And like I said, this is, I said this earlier, but this is 10 inch. This is 10 inch deco mesh. This is metallic lavender. You can see the shimmer. The other 2 are not metallic. The cream is just a plain deco mesh, and then the green is like more of that natural fiber. Oh, you're welcome, Cheryl. So I'm going to go around. Now I have 3 colors, so which also works perfectly with the 6 and 12 versus the 8 and 10. I like doing things in 3s. A lot of wreath makers will tell you that doing things in 3s is the best way to go because it kind of draws the eye. People are more drawn to things that are like uneven. So a lot of wreath makers will use 3 of something to kind of draw the eye to a certain, you know, area, or just the wreath in general. So I like using 3 colors, and it, like I said, it works perfectly with the 6 and 12 versus the 8 and 10. So 2 in my inner, and then 4 in my outer. And actually, hold on one second, let me just see, because one of these, yeah, okay, this is not it. So I actually skipped, I believe it's my green. I want to say it might be the green, where I actually only made 5 of them because the bow is going to go in that spot. If you're just joining me, I did say that I'm putting a bow on this. So I'm going to have ribbon tails in every one except for one tie, and I'm going to have a bow there instead. So I did skip, I believe it was the green. I skipped out on that 6th one because it's unnecessary. You know, even if I put it there, it would just get completely covered by the bow. So there's just no point in even having it there. So, and like I said, I'm just putting these in. I like to stick to one color at a time, usually. It just keeps me a little more organized. And I love this lavender color. It is so pretty. And I like to mix the metallic and the non-metallic. Like these lavender ones are metallic, but then like the green and the cream are not metallic. I like to mix them. It just gives it a little bit of interest. You know, it makes it a little more interesting to look at. You know, it's not super shiny, but it's not completely void of shine. So I like to have that little bit of a mix if I can. Some wreaths, you know, I like to just do them all glitter and metallic and shiny and whatever. But for something like this, especially something that has this natural base, I kind of like to keep the metallic to a minimum. So, okay, so my green, this ribbon wanted to come with it. My green is, I believe, the one that I only have 5 of. 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. So this is the one that is getting skipped. So I'm only putting one of these in my middle ring, and then the other 4 will go on the outside. So, and it's so funny because, you know, I was cutting all this stuff yesterday. I prepped all my stuff, and I told myself, okay, only cut 5, only cut 5. Well, I did good with the mesh. I only cut 5. However, the ribbons, I cut 6. And then I kind of went, oh, really? So I hate when I do that, but they always get used. I usually use the same size ribbon for most things, so they always get used. But I was just like, man, I kept telling myself in my head, only cut 5, only cut 5, and I still cut 6. But that's just me, because sometimes I'm a little bit scatterbrained. I try to not be so scatterbrained, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that well. All right, and really these, it doesn't matter where these go. So, you know, if you think about it, on, you know, you have all your purples, and then you're like, okay, you know, do I want the green next to the purple, or do I want the cream next to the purple? Well, no matter what you do, one's going to be on one side, one's going to be on the other side, so it really doesn't matter. So I just stick them in wherever. I don't worry too much about any of that. And sometimes I do these below my ribbons. Sometimes I do them above. It just depends. This one I'm obviously doing below my ribbon. So, but it just depends. I kind of like them below better. I used to do them above. I started doing them below my ribbon, and now I actually like it a little bit more. So I may just keep doing it this way. I did a bunch of Jack Skellington wreaths over Halloween, and some of them had curls, and I did those above the ribbon, and they looked really cute. But I started doing it this way, and I actually really do like it. So we'll see how I keep going with it. But you know, this process, you know, doing wreaths, making wreaths, honest to God, like, it is, you're constantly learning new things. I watch people live all the time, and I pick up new tricks and techniques and whatever. Constantly I'm learning new things. And I think that's with anything, you know, you have to keep up with, like, continuing your education, basically, however you can. And YouTube is fabulous for doing just that. So, all right, all my green is in, and now my cream. And you can see I get through this pretty quickly. I think honestly the prep takes me longer than the actual putting together of the wreath. The prep takes me a good while, because my mesh, I like to cut it with a wood burning tool instead of a rotary cutter. Now, the natural fiber mesh, like this green and this brown, you have to cut it with a rotary tool. You don't have a choice. You try to cut through that with a wood burning tool, and you are going to catch something on fire. If you're not careful, you'll really make a mess. I actually tried it. You know, I was told, like, oh, don't cut this mesh with a wood burning tool. And normally I'm not one to, you know, kind of test the limits, but I decided just to try it the one day. I had this mesh that just had, it was all deco mesh, but then it just had one little fiber running through every so often. And I was like, I'll be fine. I'll be able to cut through it. No. It literally just singed that natural fiber, turned it black. I was like, okay, all right, I'm not trying that again. So yeah, never did that again. That was the end of that. So yeah, so you know, pulling out the rotary cutter is so easy. You know, using the rotary cutter is simple. It's literally, I could line all this mesh up right one on top of the other and just slice right through it, and I've already got 3 cut. But the problem is deco mesh frays. It frays so bad. And if you use the wood burning tool, it frays a heck of a lot less. You may have a stray piece here and there, but really it's really not that bad. If you just use a rotary cutter, oh my goodness, the mess. You're just constantly sitting here with a pair of scissors cutting all these little pieces. Now see, you see me cutting these, but this is the end of the mesh, the actual like side piece, where it's already, you know, it's already done. I don't have to do anything to that. That is already like burned. But sometimes that frays a little bit, so sometimes you just have to nip that off. But you can see, like, these are getting stuck together because deco mesh sticks to everything. But you can see, like, I pull them apart and nothing is frayed. You know, there's no frayed ends anywhere. So, because that wood burning tool just like cauterizes the end, it just kind of like burns that end a little bit, and then it's just a heck of a lot less likely to fray. So that's like, I learned that tip watching someone live, someone that I watch very frequently, and it's been one of the best tips that I have learned over the course of this year, because I made, actually made this flower. Like, it actually looked like a flower. You know, it had the petals and everything. A lot of times you'll see like those sunflower wreaths and things. I actually used just regular deco mesh, made this flower. Took me forever. I mean, forever. And the whole thing was so frayed that I didn't even know what to do with it. I could not bring myself to sell it. I ended up donating it to a Chinese auction just because it was like one of my first shows. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot a Chinese auction item. So I just quickly like gave it to the lady, and you know, she's like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, at least, you know, people couldn't see its flaws, but I could see its flaws. So I could not bring myself to sell it. So, but the person who won it was extremely happy. They loved it. So, and I did try to spray it. I sprayed it with adhesive spray, which a lot of wreath makers will do. And it just, I mean, that helped a little, but it wasn't the best. So I quit making those flower wreaths, because you just, when you start working with the mesh too much, that's just when it falls apart. You know, it's just, if you would actually see it up close, you could see why. It's just in like a grid pattern, and it just falls apart. If you start working with it too much, it's just, it becomes junk. So this is done, and this one is the one that I left without a green, so you'll see there's no green there. But that is it with the curls in it. So now I'm actually going to put my ribbon tails in. And then after I do my ribbon tails, I'm going to make my bow. So we're going to hop over to the ribbon. So again, just like with the mesh, I prefer doing my ribbons one group at a time. It just keeps it organized for me. I don't have to have all this ribbon in front of me. So again, that's me with my clean workspace. Super crazy about that. I gotta have my clean workspace. Hi guys, if you're just jumping on, welcome, welcome. I am done with the base of my wreath. If you didn't see it, you can always go watch the replay. And I'm actually gonna put this on YouTube once I'm done. This is going to go on YouTube, so if you want to watch it, you know, whenever, you can go on there, you can watch it. My channel, I actually just changed the name of my channel. I used to do planner videos. I obviously do not do them anymore, but I changed it, and it is now my business name. It is Angie's Door Decor and More, so you can check it out on YouTube. But I'm actually just going to start putting my ribbons in. Now, my ribbons, you'll see me doing this. So once I get my ribbon in, if I'm not adding any embellishments, well, I am adding floral, but I don't need my ties for that. So if I'm not adding anything that I need the ties for, I just cut them right off. They're just gone. So just going to go to every purple, lavender, I should say. And I'm going to put in my ribbons. I always dovetail my ribbons. I'll actually show you real quick. So, get rid of this one. So I always dovetail my ends. You can see. It just gives it a nice finished look. The only thing I don't dovetail is I have, it's actually mesh. It's just like this mesh, only it has like a white stripe through it, and it is on a spool like ribbon, but it is mesh, and it's only 2.5 inches. It's either 2 or 2.5 inches. So that's the only thing I don't dovetail because it's mesh. And again, don't want to work with mesh too much. You know, you don't want to work it too much because then that's when it starts to fray. So that one, I just cut straight. Otherwise, I always dovetail. Always, always. So, and I picked all of these pairings in advance. I didn't want to bore you guys with, you know, me kind of sitting here like, what am I going to do? I don't know what I want to do. Where do I want to put this? So I did all that in advance, but I will tell you that when I do this, when I do a wreath, especially with the curls, so I have obviously my 3 colors, and then my ribbons play off of those 3 colors, and I also added some natural in as well. But what I do is I like to take, so you'll see, I have my lavender curls, and then the ribbons I'm using are the cream and the green. So I have all the colors represented in one space. Now this is just me being super like OCD about it. That's just kind of how my brain works. So I like to try to do that if I can, so that all of the colors are kind of represented everywhere you look. You know, you're not just looking at a spot like, oh, okay, that's like all purple over there, and then it's all green over here, you know. I don't like to do that. I like to have an even mix all over the whole wreath. So to me, that is aesthetically pleasing. So, all right, and like I said, I'm just cutting all these off. My florals do not need the ties, so I don't need them for anything. So they are just gone, and that just helps because, you know, some people will leave them, you know, they'll just put their ribbon in and then go to the next one, and then they have to go back and cut them all off. I just do it all, you know, in one swoop. It helps me so that I don't have to go back and do a bunch of unnecessary stuff at the end. I like to get to the end and be done. I don't like to have to go back. Now, some people that I watch, they will actually take the ribbons. Now, I do try to line them up evenly, but they'll actually take them, they'll lay them down, they'll fold them over to like find the perfect middle. I don't do that. That is just too much for me. I eyeball it, and I'm usually fairly good at it. Usually comes out pretty even, and if it is a little lopsided, once I get it in, I'll just kind of pull it over to one side or the other, and then it's fine. It's no worries. I do try to get it in there pretty tight, but I can usually, if I yank hard enough, I can move it a little. So All right, that is all of my lavender. So now I'm going to move to my green. Now, again, my green is the one with only 5. So the green is getting this lavender and the natural. And this ribbon, I don't know if you can actually tell. I don't know. I'm trying to like kind of shine it in the light. This ribbon is a little glittery. It has like a super fine glitter on it. So I didn't want to add too much sparkle to this wreath because I wanted to keep it a little more natural. But I did want to add a little bit of something. So I am adding that in. And like I said, I did get inspiration from a photo that I saw. But, you know, like I said, I don't try to copy people's wreaths exactly because, like I said, I wouldn't want somebody to copy mine exactly. But also, you know, everybody's wreaths are different. Like, when I do these craft shows, you know, they'll actually allow, you know, 3 wreath makers at the same show. And it's simply because everybody's wreaths are different. You are never going to find somebody making the exact same thing as someone else. Even if I used the same material, the same colors, the same everything, same sign, ribbon, meshed, everything, my wreath would come out completely different than someone else's. So for me, you know, I feel like I try to get inspiration wherever I can, and sometimes that is from a picture of someone else's wreath, but I try to do it in my own way. I'm a big Pinterest person, so if I see it on Pinterest, I'll save it, and sometimes, you know, the mood will hit me right, and I think, oh man, I really want to make that. The colors will just speak to me, and I'm just like, yep, that's what I'm making. So this was one of those, you know, I saw it on Pinterest, and the girl that made it does excellent work. I actually just recently found her on Facebook. She does excellent work. But I saw it there, and I thought, man, I really love those colors. I love all, you know, just the wreath as a whole. So I wanted to kind of make something similar. And like I said before, you know, I love like how she added the deep moss green versus like a sort of like a lime green. You know, you could add kind of lime or like sometimes they'll call it apple. On the site where I buy a lot of my material, they'll call it apple. It's not quite a lime. It's a little more muted. But actually this might be similar to the apple. But even that, you know, it's a little lighter. I just loved how it had that deep moss color. I just thought it looked super pretty. So I definitely wanted to incorporate that. And it's really cool. The green ribbon that I'm using, this like thicker, the 2.5 inch, the dots on it are actually cream. They're not white. So that was a big thing for me too. I thought, man, you can never find a ribbon that has cream decoration on it. You know, like even these ribbons I'm using now, the stuff on them is white. You know, like the polka dots, these like scroll type of lines, it's all white. So it's pretty nice that I actually was able to find something with cream on it. That was pretty cool. So, all right, this is my last ribbon tail. So I have to find, here's my green one, my one lonely little green in the center rail. Yes, Kelly. Give me 1 second. Yes, absolutely. I do take special orders. I do custom orders all the time. Volleyball, I actually should be able to get volleyball stuff. If you send me a message on this page, on my business page, I will definitely look for you. I should be able to get stuff, but definitely send me a message because then I know that you asked, and I know that I need to do that. So it just helps me keep organized, because sometimes it gets a little crazy. Let's see. Last one. Sorry. This one's like hidden. All right, my last combo is the green and purple, just the plain. And I will tell you, this is my favorite ribbon. They call this like royal canvas. This is my favorite ribbon. It is so nice. It's soft, but also like it stands up, like it where you put it, it stays. I'm not really a fan of like satin, silky ribbons, or like the see-through kind of ribbons. Really not a fan of those. They really just don't stay where you put them. I mean, I'll use them, but you have to kind of fight with them, and I get super annoyed. These ones though, I love. I just love this type of ribbon, this royal canvas. It's like my favorite. And it's the ribbon I use for all of my like solid colors, because it's just so nice. So nice to work with. And I'm going to get all of these in. These are going with my cream. So again, me, matching my colors. These two are just plain, obviously, just plain moss green and plain lavender. So I'm putting them in with my cream curls and giving the cream a little pop of those two colors. So let me get this one real quick. It's right in front of my face. So I'm super glad that you guys could come on tonight and watch. I really enjoyed doing my last live. But like I said, I just got so busy that I just was not able to do another one over the holidays. There was just no way. There were days where I just felt like I was like drowning in orders and things that I had to do. My table was constantly covered in wreath stuff. If you know me and you've actually been to my house or whatever, my house is small. We are going to eventually be moving, but right now I work in my dining room. So I'm at my dining room table, and the problem is I can't really leave things out, because if I leave things out, then we can't eat in here, and so then we're stuck eating on the couch. And I'm not really a fan of that. So I like to sit at a table. So sometimes it gets a little tricky, especially over the holidays. It was crazy. This table was just covered. It's nice because my table's big, so I have ample space to put all of this wreath stuff. But, oh my goodness. Just crazy. Alright, I have one left of this. And you can see I get through this fairly quickly. Like I said, my prep work is what takes me forever. This usually goes pretty quick, especially if I sort of group everything together. I had these ribbons with my cream mesh, so I knew that that's where they were going. So it was just kind of like, I don't even have to think. I just kind of put them in and that's it. Okay. There we go. All right, so all my ribbon tails are in. I'll show you that. So that's with all my ribbon tails. And you can see it has a nice even mix all around the whole wreath of all the different colors, which is what I love. All right, so now I'm actually going to move this for a minute. Put it right back there. And I'm actually going to do my bow. So, my bow is next. So I'm going to get all my ribbons out. All right. Now, to do my bow, well, first of all, again, I need to clean this because it's going to drive me nuts. Just that little bit of glitter. Can't stand it. All right, so for my bow, I use this little guy. This is my bow dabra. There are several different apparatuses, if you will, that you can use to make bows. Pro Bow the hand scares the crap out of me every time I see it. I'm just like, no. It doesn't look like anything that I would want to deal with. So this is all I have. I just use my bow dabra. It is very easy for me, and I like it a lot. So I'm going to start with my green, and I usually measure my tails 7 inches. And some people will move their ribbon, some people will move the bow dabra. It just depends, whatever your preference. For me, I like to move my ribbon. So first I need to measure, because this is my bottom one. Usually make these about 4 inches, these loops, and then I twist, pop it in, because you always want the pretty side up. So this is like the ugly side, if you will, this side. So you always want to put it in and twist, because then your pretty side will be up again. So again, I just need to measure this to 4 inches, roughly. Doesn't have to be completely perfect. Now the last one, you do not twist. And I'm just doing two loops of each color. 7-inch tails is what I always do. So I'm going to go to the 11 here. I'm on the 18-inch mark. I always use my mat. I love my mat. The mat is like a must. If you're going to make wreaths, you got to have the mat. And there's just no way around it. You use it more than you could ever imagine. And they're not really all that expensive, honestly. I mean, for what it is and how much it helps you, I mean, you can go to Walmart and get it for 30 bucks, so it's worth it. In my opinion, it is worth it. Actually, no, I want to go with my purple. All right. And again, I dovetail. Show you how to do it. So have your ribbon, 2 wired ends. The wired ends go together, and you cut from the non-wired side to the wired side. Boom, done. I have seen people who take their ribbon, no lie, they take their ribbon and they cut and they cut. I can't even imagine. I need things to save me time, not cost me more time. I'm all about time saving. So I don't quite understand that. All right, so again, I'm going to do a 7-inch tail. This time I'm going to pull the purple this way. When I do one of these more round, full bows, I like to pull my tails in opposite directions. And I will say this, this ribbon, this royal canvas, it actually does not have like a quote-unquote pretty side and ugly side. It is the same on both sides. However, I still twist it because I'm so used to it. I need to make sure I do it on every one, so I just do it no matter what. So this one again, cut to the 11. Like I said, I'm on the 18-inch mark, so I'm cutting 7-inch tails. And again, I'm going to pull that the opposite direction. Whoop. That one almost went flying. So I always start with my 2.5-inch ribbon, and then I move to my 1.5-inch. So, You can do it however you want. You know, if you're making a bow, you can do it however you want. Oh, there, see, I cut too many. See, this was my 6th tail that I did not need. So I always put them on here and save them for the next wreath that I do with that particular ribbon. And it will get used. Like I said, they always get used. It's just a matter of when I need it. All right, so now I'm actually doing 6 ribbons. So these bottom 2, I actually did 7-inch tails. Now I'm going to go a little shorter. So I'm going to go 6.5. And I just pinch, twist, pull, and flip. And again, oh, and the loops, I'll tell you the loops, after I measure the first 2 loops for that base color ribbon, I don't measure them anymore. I just kind of go right on top of the previous ribbon and I just kind of eyeball it. And that's that. I don't mess around too much with measuring those. There's just no point. So, because once this is all fluffed, you won't even notice if one is just a hair, you know, smaller. You won't even notice. All right, so there's all my 2.5 that they're done, and that again was my glittery one. Get those out of my way. Gotta clean up the glitter. Have to. All right. There we go. All right, now I'm going to start with my 1.5 inch. So I started with green. So I'm going to go to green. And I was saying about the other wreath making apparatuses. This one, like I said, is called the Bodabra. Oh, and again, I am doing this at 6.5. Yeah, this one is the Bodabra. This one is just simple. You can get it at a very cheap price, especially if you use a coupon. You know, if you buy it from like Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever, you can use a coupon and, you know, get it half off or whatever. So it is relatively inexpensive, and sorry, that one just was not staying. Okay. So, yeah, so you can usually get it at a pretty good price. And it's just very, very user-friendly, in my opinion. Very, very user-friendly. A lot of wreath makers will actually use, it's called Pro Bow the Hand. And it has all these pegs, and you have to use wire, and I watch people use it, and I am so mesmerized. And I'm also terrified. So I do not own Pro Bow the Hand. Absolutely not. Would I love to someday? Yes, because the bows that you can make are just, some of them are just beautiful. But for me, that would be a learning experience. And I would have to really take some time to learn how the heck to use it. And it would probably drive me insane not being able to do it. So, for now, Bodabra it is. You can see I've used this for a while, so I'm pretty quick. So now I've done 4 of my 6. So now I'm gonna actually bump down to 6-inch tails. So I did 2 at 7, 2 at 6.5, and now I am doing the last 2 at 6. And I'm going to show you how I finished this bow as well. And I've done them differently in the past, but I actually just recently saw a new way to do this. And I actually love it because, so whenever I make a bow and I'm at the end, I end up doing my last 2 loops, and then I cut it off, and that's it. And then I go to put it on, and those last 2 loops drive me insane because I don't have like a middle. I feel like I have these two loops and I never know what to do with them. I'm always like trying to push them in different directions, and sometimes it doesn't look as good as I want it to look. So I actually am going to do something a little different this time, something that I just recently saw. So my last one is this cream, and I wanted to end with the cream because the cream is probably, well, not much green, but I feel like the cream is probably the least prominent color on the whole wreath. It's used the least, so I wanted that to be my center, so it kind of popped. So anyway, so I'm going to take this, and I'm actually just going to do one loop, not two. And I'm going to have, so it will cause me to have both tails on this side, but you'll see once you have this in your wreath, it really, you can move this, you can manipulate it, so it really does not matter. All right, so I'm just going to cut this off and dovetail it, and then get this out of the way. All right, now let's see. So normally I have normally I only use 4 ribbons. This time I use 6. So I don't know if I want to use a pipe cleaner or wire. I can't decide. I'm going to go with the pipe cleaner, but I may switch to the wire. And I just like to try to match the pipe cleaner to my last ribbon. This one's white. The ribbon's cream. It really doesn't matter. So this is the little tricky part. So you actually want to take this out without ruining what you've just done. So take it out, slip the pipe cleaner on, and I'm just going to pull this super tight and twist. All right, so that is together. And if I feel like my pipe cleaner tails are a little too small, I'll go to wire. But for now, I'm going to stay with the pipe cleaner. So that's my bow. Looks like crap right now. You think like, what in the world is that? But I don't fluff until it's in the wreath. If you fluff before then, when you put it in the wreath, it's just going to get ruined again. So there's really no point. So I'm going to get my wreath again. And I'm going to find my tie, which is right here, my open tie. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to twist this a couple of times. And I'm going to cut this off, and I'm going to fold it down. I said a couple. Meanwhile, I twisted it about 10 times. But, you know. So fold that down, get it out of the way. Now I just have this open space. So I'm actually going to put my bow in right on this tie. And I'm actually just going to put it right over where the tie is. And try to secure this to the back. I like to get it on there nice and tight. I don't like things to move. I actually, at the end, you'll see me, I do the shake test. So I put everything on my wreath, sign everything, and then I shake it. Because, you know, it's going to get jostled around, whether it's, you know, if it's being shipped or, you know, it's being put up and taken down and put up and taken down, whatever. So I like to do the shake test, because then I know that things aren't going to start falling off, because that would be terrible. I actually, I had a sign fall off of my own wreath last year, and it was a combination of the glue I was using and the way that I was securing the sign to the wreath. And again, it's all a learning curve. You know, you have to learn these things as you go. So, you know, you might see somebody using something to secure, you know, a sign, and you're like, oh man, I can get that, no problem, that's so easy. But then when you go to do it, and then your sign falls off, you're like, wow, that doesn't work so well. So, now I don't do that anymore. I don't use what I was using then. I don't use that anymore. So now I'm going to show you. So now you can see I have my bow. Still looks like crap, but I'm actually going to fluff it, and you'll see you actually can really like pull these and manipulate them, pull them to wherever you need them to go. And what I like to do is I actually like to sort of have my tails on the bottom, and then I kind of like to have my my loops like up here, so it's all full, and then my tails are just kind of around. It's tricky, very tricky, but, and I also like to pull, so I have over here is the, like the green, I know it's hard for you to see, but it's the green and the cream polka dots. So that tail is over here, so I actually want to take that loop and pull it the other way. So again, that's just me, you know, trying to be a little bit finicky, OCD about it. So, but I'm just going to kind of, you'll see me moving this stuff and really yanking on it. Ribbon is resilient. So, and whenever I do shows, craft shows, and people buy wreaths from me, I will tell them, oh, there went my scissors. I will tell them, if you buy a wreath off of me and your bow somehow gets smushed, I'll show you how to fluff it. So, the way that I'm doing it right now is the way that you would fluff it. So you take 2 fingers, put your fingers through the loop, and just pull. And you can see that cream one that I just did. See how nice that looks. That's all you have to do. Literally, just put your fingers in your smushed ribbon, open it up with your fingers, and there, see, you have like a nice loop. See, I just did this one right here. So that's all you have to do. If you ever order a wreath from me and somehow your bow gets smashed, you know, say you get it shipped, you know, say I ship it to you, I'm gonna put it in a box that is tight. I don't want it to move, so your ribbons will get a little smushed, and that is just the nature of the beast. I don't want things moving. I don't want things to get ruined. I don't want things to fall off. So you may have to fluff a little bit once you get it. So you know, if you ever have ordered a wreath from me, or really anybody else, if you've ever gotten a wreath from anyone and that has happened to you, now you know you can just easily, very easily sort of fluff them back out, bring them back to life. So, and I'm just kind of moving these around, moving my tails. This is a process, and this is why I do not fluff my bow before I put it on, because you see, it would just get ruined. By the time I put it on here and start manipulating things, it would be unfluffed. So there's just no point to that. So again, I'm just kind of moving these around, seeing where I want them, and kind of moving my tails. And this, like I said, this is just a process. It's just kind of like you have to see where you like them. Kind of try to move the colors around so you kind of get a pop of each color wherever you look. Again, it's just my sort of aesthetic that I like to see. So, everything sticks to Decomesh. I said that before, I'll say it again. It is the truth. Everything sticks. Okay. So, put this one down here. Put this here. And then pull this one back here. Okay. So, that may be fairly good. All right. And these will get moved so many times, you know, by the time the customer gets it, they're, you know, they'll have to mess with them a little bit. So, but there is my bow. I know it's hard to see because I'm kind of zoomed in a little bit, but there is my bow. Once it's all done, I'll stand up and I'll kind of hold it up for you guys so you can see. All right, so now that my bow is on, I'm actually going to do my, do I want to do my sign or my florals? I might do my florals and then do my sign last. So I'm actually going to plug in my glue skillet. So just give me a second here. Now the glue skillet helps with florals. And it's actually just a mini skillet. Legitimately, just a mini skillet. Oh, I'm like, where did my plug go? I've got it. All right, so I'm gonna get this plugged in. All right. And it just takes a little time to sort of heat up. I do have it on. Let me make sure I have it. Yeah, we're good. All right, so I'm gonna let that heat up. And while it's heating up, I'm actually gonna cut my floral. So, move this out of my way. Get all my florals. So I have, again, I have all of these lavender bushes, 3 different kinds, and I like the mix of all the colors, so I may use them all. And then these, like I said, these are just cream. They're like these little berries. And I like that they were cream, so they'll add that little extra bit. So I'm just gonna cut some of these off, and I'm actually, yeah. So I'll show you real quick. So when I'm working with a floral like this, okay, so it comes on the stem like that. Okay, you can see it has like these 3 leaves. So because I'm going to shove this in, you're really not going to see those. So I just push them up. Push them all up, and then I get all that greenery around my flower, and then it adds that little pop, and then I don't have to worry about anything down here, okay? So I'm going to cut a couple of these off. Let me see. I'm going to cut a couple of the light ones and a couple of the dark ones. Oh, and some of these actually have 3 on them. Awesome, awesome. Oh, okay, so, wait, I'm actually, okay. So I didn't even notice. Some of these are just the lavender, and then the ones with the darker actually have all 3. So, or they have 3, like, bushes on them, but they just have 2 colors, this deeper and then the lighter. So I'm going to cut a few more of these. I don't know how many I'll need, but cut another one of these. And I can always cut more. more if I need to. But I'm just going to make sure these are all pushed up. There we go. That one's done. Those are good. That's good. This one needs pushed. There we go. All right, so I have some of those. And move that over there. Sorry, it's habit. Gotta have a clean space. All right, and then I'm gonna do some of these. And these ones are actually way bigger. I don't know. Yeah, these will move. Okay, I wasn't sure if these would actually move or not, but they do. So I'm gonna cut off a couple of these. And this is actually, it's crazy because these actually look super real. This particular like bush of lavender, it actually looks super real. It's like fuzzy. I don't know. It was kind of like, I had to do a double take in the store. I'm like, is that fake or are they selling real stuff here? Like, odd. I've never seen something that looked so lifelike. And actually, I found a lot of, they almost look like real dried flower bushes at the craft store. And I actually bought some of those too, but I'm doing a different wreath for those. I have different plans for those. But I was like, what in the world? Like, are these real? And I guess maybe that's why they're so expensive nowadays. I don't know. Because they're making them so lifelike. Alright, so there's some of those. And this fuzzy stuff is very odd. It gets everywhere, apparently. Alright, some of these. And these have both colors on each individual. Oh, I hate the one with the tag. If I can avoid that one, I save it to the end. Till I'm at the end of the whole bush of flowers. Because it's just a pain. Alright. Actually, might be the last one on here. All by itself. Oh well. Alright, there's those. And these. And again, I'm just pushing them up. Just like I did with the other ones. Push all that greenery to the top. And these little things, they surely get everywhere, but these do add a nice touch. All right, now that's all my florals. My glue skillet is looking fairly good right now, actually. So I'm going to put all of these up here. All right. And I think, I'm trying to decide what I want to do. So I actually cut 6 of each. So I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do one of each of these in each one. I actually may have one extra because of my bow. And then I'm going to do these maybe in the middle. So we'll see. Once I start kind of going through here, we'll kind of see where we're at. So when I do florals, I like to kind of judge like how far, you can see how far I want that to stick out. I don't want it to stick out like crazy, but I also don't want it to be so far in that you can't even really see it. So I kind of like to judge it like that. So I'm going to cut some of this off. And I just kind of want to see where I want to put this. I'm very picky about florals. Florals are tough in a wreath with mesh. They're just better in a wreath, like a grapevine wreath. They're just better because the grapevine, you kind of like need to put florals in it because it, you know, just kind of is the type of wreath that just screams for flowers. You know, bow and some flowers and maybe like a sign or maybe a an animal. Like I've seen bunnies. I've actually used scarecrows. You know, some kind of like plush thing. They always look really nice on grapevines, but grapevines are just, you know, you have to use florals, and they just work so well. All right, so I'm actually just gonna. We're not quite ready. It's ready on the sides. But it takes a minute. This glue skillet. This is actually a real skillet you can actually cook in, which is super funny. But you can legitimately cook in it. But I just use it for glue. I'm just trying to push this through. There we go. All right, so I'm kind of going to do them kind of like that, where these kind of like stick out. Not too far, like I said. I don't want them to be too crazy, but I'm just going to do it like that. So I'm going to go with these all around. Oh, let me cut this one down. And then if I need to go back in the end and sort of cut them from the back side, I will. You know, if there's kind of like tails that are like sticking out or whatever, I'll go back and do that off camera, obviously. So I'm going to stick this in again in here. And I just kind of like, I don't know, I just kind of force it so that it sort of sticks to the mesh and just kind of goes in wherever so that it's strong. This one doesn't want to go in. And this is why it's so tough to do these in a wreath with mesh. Nope. Kind of have to mess with it a little bit. Sometimes you just do not want to go in. Cut this end off a little bit. Cheryl, I actually live near Monroeville, near Irwin. I'm actually in North Versailles. I'm only about 10 minutes from the line between Allegheny County and Westmoreland County. So Irwin is right up the road from me. Like North Huntington is like 10 minutes from me. So I'm not far from, you know, Monroeville area and like I said, like Irwin and stuff. I'm not far from there. Not too far, like Forest Hills is right down the road. But all like east of Pittsburgh. All right. Now this takes a little time because, like I said, this is just a little tougher with a wreath with mesh. I wish it was not, but it is. When I've added florals to mesh, or to wreaths with mesh in the past, I've had trouble just figuring out like how to attach it. Like, where the heck do I put this? You know, I don't want to just glue something in and pray it stays. So I'm always trying to think of like how to attach it, how to make it stay. So, and like I said, I may go back and I may have to just touch with my glue gun and just like nip some of these ends off in the back, but we'll see. I'll do all that off camera though. Oh, okay, yeah. So, I actually, North Hills. I don't think I've ever done a show out that way. I did one in the South Hills. I did one in the South Hills. I've done them in Butler. And I do a lot around here. Like I've done McKeesport, White Oak, up in Irwin, North Huntington area. I've done a lot up there. I try to stay more local. I try to stay kind of close to my house. The one that I did out in the South Hills, that was actually in Bethel Park. And it was a good show, but I think, you know, a lot of people are kind of deterred by the fact that you don't live close by, because I don't know, they're just like, oh, I want to order something from you, or, you know, maybe I want to order something, but where do you live? You know, do you live near here? And it's like, well, no, I live, you know, 45 minutes away. And then people are like, oh, well, never mind, because people don't want to drive. You know, they don't want to drive to have to meet me to get, you know, whatever they might order from me. So I have found that doing shows farther from my house sometimes is not the best because of that situation. I run into that situation where people are like, I don't want to drive. So, you know, I just kind of, I try not to do that too often. So, alright, so I'm actually starting with these ones now. These, the ones that had like the darker and the lighter. I'm actually putting those in now. And they're going in with the lavender and natural. So, and I'm going to alternate, because I have some of them with just the lavender. So I'm going to alternate them. This glue skillet is actually a newer tool that I have gotten. And I don't know how I feel about it. I do like it. I like the fact that I can just dip in and get my glue like very quickly. But in the same sense, I'm like, it's like so weird to just have like a legit skillet sitting next to me. It's kind of like, you know, it's just odd. It's different. We'll say that. It's different. But for now, I'm using it. It's a learning curve. A lot of this stuff I've been using for so long. I'm just so used to it. But this is something new. This is the first time I'm actually pulling it out and using it. So we shall see how it goes. I tried it out earlier. I was putting all my glue in it and melting it down and getting it ready. And I actually like heated up my mat a little bit and kind of warped it a little bit. So I'm a little bit depressed about that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little sad that I did that, but I'm hoping I can fix it. Because this mat is actually new. I had my old mat was 18 by 24. This one is 24 by 36. It is bigger. I don't think I could find this one at first. I didn't know that Walmart sold it. And the one that I ended up buying was the 18 by 24. And it's just not quite big enough. Not quite there. So I finally upgraded myself to this one. Alright, so these ones I'm actually not going to push up. I actually don't even know if I could. I don't know how these are on here exactly. I don't even know if I could push these up, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it just like this. I want to get that greenery. And this one also is a mix of lavender and just a darker purple. stick these in where I have the green and cream ribbons. Okay. Get in there. All right. There's that. And I'm just going all around the outside for now because I'm not sure what I want to do on the inside yet. If I just want to use the cream ones, the little cream like berries, or what I want to do. If I want to add some of this in, I may add a little bit of this lavender in because I did cut enough to sort of add some of it in places. So we'll see. We shall see. But I'm loving this so far. I think this is giving it such a nice look. I've done a bunch of wreaths with sunflowers and various types of flowers, like some of them sunflowers and lilies and daisies. Some of them I did sunflowers and roses, which is gorgeous, by the way. And the next sunflower wreath that I'm going to be doing, it's not an order or anything, it's just something that I want to do. I got inspiration again from Pinterest. It was actually a picture of like a wedding bouquet that I saw, and it was sunflowers and like these deep blue flowers with it, almost like a navy. Gorgeous. And I thought, oh man, I've got to do a wreath with that. So stay tuned for that one because that one will be coming. I do actually have the wreath base made and I have the flowers ready to go. I just have not actually made the wreath yet because I had some orders and things that I had to get done first. So orders always sort of take little precedence. They kind of trump everything else. So all right, so I'm going to show you that. If you can see, I know it's kind of hard getting a little bit of a shadow, but I have all those in so far. I actually really like how they look. And then in the middle, I'm just going to kind of see. I'm going to actually test out some of these. Some of these cream, because I want to add these in. But I don't necessarily know if I just want to do the cream or if I want to do a little bit of lavender. Because see, they kind of stick out. Kind of do stick out. So I'm really going to have to make sure they're in there. I think I might actually alternate, maybe the cream and then a lavender, cream, lavender. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mostly do the cream though. So I'm going to try to push these up, because these actually were not pushed up all the way. So I'm going to push them up, bunch that all together. Okay. And then let's see, I want more of the cream, so I want to start the cream here. All right. Sorry, my glue is like super stringy. Okay. So I'm going to stick this in. This one's going to be tough. Of course, it's going to give me trouble. There we go. Let's see. Ah, I don't see it. I lost it. It's in there. It's in there somewhere. Oh, it's not moving, so we're good. All right. And I think, which one? Which one? We'll go with this. I really like how this one is like super natural looking. Like I said, it's like really like natural looking, and it has like I said, it's like fuzzy. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Oh, my crazy glue. All right, let's stick this one in. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to go back with the cream. Again, I'm going to push all of this up. All of it. Let me get this in. Okay. Stick this one in right here. And I'm trying to stick this through the mesh. That's why it's giving me so much trouble. But I want it to sort of be secured. I want it to be secured in there so it doesn't come out. So you can actually take florals. I mean, they're wired, so you can actually take this and like wrap this around the frame, and then I'll put like a bunch of glue on there. But I don't know, it just takes a lot of time. So I wanted to try the glue skillet. That's why I got it and pulled it out, because I was like, I want to try it. I want to see if it makes things easier. So it's just tricky because once you have the glue on there, you gotta get it in there quick. So have to be careful. All right, last one. So I'm actually just gonna grab these all and just get them out of my way. All right, this last one is the cream one. Oh, some of the little berries fell in. Try to get them out. Okay. Get in there. Oh, of course, this last one's gonna give me trouble. Isn't that just the way? Isn't that how it always goes? Oh, there we go. Okay. So that's in. Just gonna fix those leaves a little bit. All right. So that's all in. And honestly, to be quite honest, you could probably leave it like this and sell it just as is. But why would we do that? Have to add more. Have to just add more and more and more. Okay. So get rid of that. Crazy glue skillet. Gotta let that thing dry, harden, not dry, harden, and cool off. It takes forever. I learned that today. Okay, now my sign. So, without getting burned, get my sign here. All right, so my sign, again, if you didn't see it at the beginning, or if you didn't see my picture earlier in the week, this is my sign. It says He is Risen. And this is where I got some of the inspiration. I did, as I said before, I did find a picture of a wreath similar to this on Pinterest. I really liked it, so I decided to try it. This sign was the sign that the person who made it used, and I just thought that it was so cute. And I actually already had the sign, so I was like, oh, it's perfect. So I'm gonna put this in. Let's see here. I'm gonna turn this. I want my bow in the top left, which is usually where I put my bows. Sometimes I'll put them elsewhere, but usually that's where they end up. So, oh, and I'll show you my sign. So I used to use these little like cable mounts on the backs of my signs, and I would thread my pipe cleaners through them. I don't do that anymore. I've had signs fall off, and I don't like that. That's not okay to me. So I'm gonna actually pull it out here. I got a staple gun, just a small one, and I just staple my pipe cleaners in now. It works out a heck of a lot better. Signs, I mean, essentially cannot fall off. I mean, how in the world could it fall off unless it went through the war? So really, it's just a way better alternative. So let's see, my sign, I want it like in the middle, right here. Now the picture I actually saw, her sign was actually sort of diagonal like this, and I don't know, I'm a little too picky for that to put my sign like that. Maybe someday. Maybe, you know what it'll be? It'll be somebody will ask me to do a wreath. They'll have a picture, and that's what it'll be. It will be that. It will be, the sign will be cockeyed, and I'll be like, oh man, now I have to do it. Now I'm forced. So, but for now, this is what we're doing. So I'm just trying to sort of shove this in here wherever I can. Alright, and then these ones. Also trying to not burn myself on this glue skillet. I cannot wait to have a craft room that has like some gigantic table. I don't have to worry about stuff like this. This one came out. This one is escaping. Alright, so now pull all my florals out. And my ribbons. I don't like to trap my ribbon. I like to pull it out. Pull that all out. Alright, now I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to attach it. So now I just have to find out where the heck all these are. Okay. So I just attach it right to the frame. And here we go. Yeah, I just attach it right to my frame. And that keeps it nice and secure. I don't have to worry about anything falling off. Now I just have to find the other two. Here's one. And, oh crap, hold on. Sometimes this happens to me. I make it so tight. Yeah, that's too tight. Okay, so I have to loosen this. So sometimes I do this to myself where I end up making these ties way too tight, and then I can't move the sign where I need to move it. Okay, so these are just a little too tight, which is fine. And I usually, I have to adjust this several times. You'll see. I'm always messing with it. Okay, now this one. Might still be too tight. I actually am going to move it. I have it on like the second ring of my form. I'm actually going to move it to the innermost ring, because that could be the problem too. Sometimes with these signs, I think these ones are 6 by 12 or something. Regardless, they're 12 inches long. So they're long, and they span most of the wreath. And sometimes you just have to sort of manipulate this. Nope. Made it too tight again. See, this is the trickiest part, honestly. This is probably why I save it till the end. Because, oh my goodness, I drive myself half crazy with these signs. Getting them exactly where I want them. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. This one is just giving me trouble. So I'm actually going to see if I can move this. Actually attach it. Yeah, that might be better. sometimes, like I was saying, with these longer ones, sometimes you have to kind of go, I'm kind of going like in between the two rows now, instead of going like in the middle, kind of going in between the two rows of mesh. I think that's going to actually work better, just because of how full this wreath is, how much is on it, and where it's all situated. I think that's how I'm going to have to do it. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's see. Now this one I'm going to have to take out. And scooch it over. Okay, put it in there. I'm sorry if I'm like off camera. Oh, I forget that I have to pay attention to that. I'm so used to just working by myself and just getting it done that I forget that people are watching. So, all right. I'm going to attach this loosely, always loose at first. And then I go back and I fix, tighten it up if I need to. Okay, and this is working out a lot better, by the way. I said sometimes the signs, you just never know, because it depends on how full it is, what you've got going on in the wreath itself. You just never know how you're exactly going to have to attach it, where you're going to have to attach it. And again, always make sure your ribbon is out. You don't want to trap your ribbons. Okay, we're almost done. Almost. If you stayed until now, congrats. And now you don't have to ask me, how long does it take you to do that? Well, now you saw. And you can imagine how long the prep work was. The prep work was probably double however long this video is. I have no clue how long this has been. So, whatever this has been, just double it. Then you'll know how long it takes me to make a wreath from start to finish. All right, now let's see. I actually want to tighten up this side a little bit. Now that I've got it all in, this side is just a little bit loose. Little bit loose. Okay. Tighten this up. Okay, now check it out. Yeah, that looks good. I'll do my shape test. Yeah, that should be okay. You don't want it to be insanely tight, because then it almost looks kind of silly. It kind of like pushes. It push down into the wreath, and like everything starts popping up, and it just looks goofy. So you don't want to make it too tight. All right, now I have to manipulate my bow. So see, you know, no matter what you do to this bow, eventually you're gonna have to move it around again, because you start messing with other elements, and then you've got to fix this. So, all right, this one I'm gonna move this little tail, and then kind of move all these tails around. I don't want to block my words. And I also want to pull out all of my ribbons, make sure they're not hiding or smushed. Okay, and these tails, okay, so this is another trick. Well, another little tip. So, yes, this is upside down, but I want you to see, so these tails, you see how they're kind of sitting on my words? I don't want my words covered. Obviously, I want you to be able to read it. So I'm actually going to go in and just clip these. So now that I have this done, I can see where these are actually going to sit, And I can see that this purple one, this lavender, and the cream, I'm just taking off a very small amount. Nothing crazy. Just a little sliver. There we go. And that is 10 times better. Okay. Now this is done. And I'm actually going to move my camera for you guys. Well, my iPad. I'm going to move my iPad. So sorry if this is shaky for a second. I'm actually going to pan up here. Okay. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. Completely done. And this guy here, he's a little wonky, but might clip him too. But this is the finished wreath. You can see all the florals kind of jutting out everywhere, which is what I wanted. You can see the bow up here, and all these beautiful colors. I love the combination of the poofs and the curls. I think it's probably my favorite. The bubble wreath used to be my favorite. This has probably pushed the bubble down to number 2 because I just love it. So this wreath, like I said, this wreath will be for sale. I will try to get a picture tomorrow and list it in my Etsy shop as well. I usually wait a few days to list it on my Etsy shop just because sometimes, you know, I'll leave it up for a day or two and then people will, you know, they'll want it. So there's no sense in me putting it on Etsy. So I'll wait a few days and then I'll put it on Etsy. But for now, like I said, this is for sale. I don't exactly know. It's probably going to be around 60. When I list it tomorrow, I will put a price on it. If you're interested in it, definitely just ask me. You can always ask how much anything is. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make this. I had a lot of fun. I don't know. Some people will ask me if I plan on, you know, actually like teaching how to make a wreath. And I do, you know, I give you little tips and stuff along the way, but I don't necessarily teach per se. I feel like I want my business to be a little bigger before I actually start teaching people how to do it. I kind of want it to grow and, you know, whatever. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I would love to do it. I just want to make sure that my business is in a place where I can actually do it and feel good about doing it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. If you've ever asked me that question, there's your answer. But again, this wreath all done. I'm going to go back and just kind of clip the little ends of the flowers in the back and make sure everything is secure, but otherwise it is ready to go. So I hope you guys had fun watching. You can definitely share this video, share my page with your friends. I really do appreciate it. Right now I'm getting close to 500 likes on my page, and I may do a giveaway at 500, so share for sure. Tell your friends. If you know anybody who loves wreaths, you know where to send them. So I thank you guys for watching, and sorry, I probably look crazy now because I've been working. So I hope you guys had fun. Remember to like my page, and you may see another live, and you may see a giveaway at 500 likes. So I'll let you know about that.